We'll pick up then on our developing story this evening. Of course, a little earlier, we witnessed the Ekurhuleni Mayor, Tania Campbell, being voted out in a motion of no confidence against her. She subsequently held a briefing to talk about her disappointment alongside that of the multi-party coalition that was formed in Ekurhuleni to establish the government. The motion was brought forward by the ANC in that metro, accusing Campbell of neglecting service delivery in the region. The Ekurhuleni Council Speaker, Raymond Dlamini, delivering those results.
For no, it's 93. For yes, it's 100. Thank you very much. Order.
Comrades, that's silent pants, no singing.
Order. Thank you very much, councillors. What is going to happen is that in terms of the motion, we'll go the process of soon reconvening the special council meeting to elect the new executive mayor.
Our reporter Govan Whittles is in Ekurhuleni tonight. He's been tracking that story. Govan, listening to the mayor a little earlier on in that briefing she held, doesn't sound like there'll be much of a fight back in as far as the loss of this mayoral seat is concerned. Certainly nothing compared to what we've seen in Johannesburg.
Yeah, it seems that Alderman Tania Campbell has accepted that she's going into the opposition benches along with the Democratic Alliance. And we also spoke to the Democratic Alliance's Gauteng leader, Solim Samanga, who stuck by the decision not to consult with the EFF and also appearing to accept the outcome. But it looks like this was accepted or expected by the multi-party coalition. They were in minority government here. The EFF and the ANC's joint votes had the potential to oust them at any point. But in the end, the EFF abstained from the vote, and Alderman Campbell and her multi-party coalition were ousted through the votes of a group of minority parties which call themselves the Super 7 because they hold 7 seats in the metro. Let's speak to the ousted mayor, Alderman Tania Campbell. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Let's begin with the obvious question. Is there anything that you could have done to prevent this from happening?
No, as you had stated, we were in the minority. I have always had an open door policy with all the parties within council. Always discussing matters of the council with them for the betterment of our residents and trying to bring stability within the municipality. But as the numbers went, we always knew we were on the minority and decided not to work on this elastic band principle. We will make long-term resolutions and plans for the city, and that's exactly what we did.
So there will be no attempt to form a new coalition with more partners to perhaps take back control in the city?
Look, as I said previously, it's never over until it is. There has to be another council to vote in a new mayor, or who knows, you might see me back again. But yeah, our plans are there to make sure that we do everything we can to possibly to stabilize the city. We do not feel the corrupt coalition is the way to go in the city, and the Super 7 are part of that corrupt coalition. And we certainly don't want our residents to suffer for another 21 years the way that they did previously. We've only been in government for 11 months. And if you see what we have achieved, and achieved a lot within that time frame, that is the trajectory that we are on.
When you say, who knows, you might be back again, do you mean that you will start lobbying other parties in the next 7 days leading up to the new meeting to elect the mayor?
Yes, we never will give up because we will always fight for our residents. So we will never give up the fight. We will lobby with other parties. We will put our case together, our provincial structures as well as ourselves, and as well as our coalition. We do have a coalition management committee. We will be discussing a strategy going forward, but we are not giving up.
Let's get into the meeting itself. There were a number of criticisms thrown against you, particularly by some of the minority parties. But why didn't you speak in the meeting and defend yourself?
I don't think it's ethical as a mayor to defend, or anybody who has a motion of no confidence, to defend themselves as the motion is being tabled. And purely because if you do not believe of what is in that motion, and that is why our teams and our caucuses, our councillors spoke on that, and that is a normal practice throughout, from Parliament to province to local government.
Some criticisms involved your handling of the protests in Tembisa, and as well as the reshuffle, which you effected, which ultimately led to the Patriotic Alliance swapping sides. Let's begin with the Tembisa situation. Do you regret how you handled that?
No, it was, the Tembisa thing was really orchestrated a lot. We had meetings with the Tembisa community prior, 3 meetings prior to the actual day going to the full public meeting. But a lot of it was orchestrated. We also had meetings with the Taxi Association and also with the religious organizations, which helped and assisted us a lot within Tembisa. We've set in long-term plans, which was our intention. A lot of the items went through council so that nothing can be derailed to give the services to the residents of Tembisa.
The councillor from Irasa, the independent from Alberton, criticized your reshuffle, saying that it didn't make sense, and that was also some of the criticism that came from the other smaller parties. Do you believe you could have handled the reshuffle differently?
No, the reshuffle was done intentionally, not unintentionally. There were changes that needed to be made. So I had to, and that is within my delegated powers, and that's why I did the reshuffle.
All right. Further then, is there anything about your mayorship that you believe you could have done differently?
I do feel that I will be, if I don't take what was said in council and mill it around in my own head and see where I can better. If I don't do that, I'm being ignorant. I'm not using mature politics. I'm not a mature person. As we could see today, a lot of immature politics was being done. And I always think anybody can better themselves.
Thank you so much. That's Alderman Tania Campbell. She's the ousted mayor in the city of Ekurhuleni. And we spoke to the ANC's Gauteng chairperson a short while ago, and he indicated that tomorrow morning they would begin the work of trying to form a government in the city, specifically indicating that they try to work with these minority parties, the AIC, the PAC, the UDM, the Independent Civics Movement, the Independent Residents Association of South Africa, and then, of course, their traditional partners, which is, of course, the ANC, but, of course, the EFF choosing to abstain from this vote, and the ANC managing to pull it off even with that abstention. So all eyes will look towards the next 7 days, and as Alderman Tania Campbell just pointed out, they'll intend to field their candidate and will also lobby some of the parties to support their candidate when that vote eventually happens.
Govan, any indication of which some of the names that have come up potentially to succeed Tania Campbell might be?